The Empty Man was one of those movies that I instantly wrote off. Zero interest in at all. The plot just sounded ridiculously silly. But it's not really what the movie's about. And having the gumption to put it on and sit and watch it, I was marvelled almost immediately by this, by the filmmaking, by the story it tells, and by how wonderfully it really worked itself into my mind, because for the few days after watching it, it was all I could think about. It was all I could muse over, and I think this is going to be possibly one of my favourite releases this year. Such a great horror movie. But that plot synopsis is atrocious. And the plot synopsis is there is something called the Empty Man. If you discover an empty bottle on a bridge and you think of him and blow into it, he will come and get you. The first night you will hear him, the second night you will see him, and the third night he will come for you. Sounds crap, right? Sounds like the typical kind of horror movies that we have seen a buttload of. But it's not really about that. At the start of the movie, you get this wonderful prologue that goes on for about 15-20 minutes before we even get a title of the movie. And we have these four people trekking in what looks like a kind of Nepal area, and they discover something that is rather unusual and different, and one of their characters seems to have a mental break. And then we jump a number of years to this school where we're thrown into our main character, played by James Badge Dale, who is Jason. He is an ex-cop who is working in a kind of gun store, and he is asked by a friend he knows to kind of look for her daughter, who has seemingly vanished, and left a sign on a mirror that says, "The Empty Man made me do it," or something to that extent. And we're throwing into a cult movie as we follow James as he hunts down this missing teenager, and it leads to all kind of weird and wacky scenes, characters who have strange misgivings, people who are deliberately leading him the wrong way, and strange supernatural occurrences as James investigates both the Empty Man and this cult at the same time. Now, it's wonderfully set up, and it's one of those ones where it doesn't give you all the answers at the end. It leaves enough breadcrumbs for you to interpret the movie in separate ways. And I really like when movies do that. When they don't just put everything out for you, they've left it enough there for you to interpret what you think of this one. And when the movie gets to the cult part of the movie, it really starts to take off. It really starts to create this very atmospheric, very real and very terrifying threat within the film. And I understand fully why they had to advertise it as something else, but I really do feel that this is one of those movies that is going to gather a hell of a lot of cult status over the next few years, because it is wonderfully filmed, it's wonderfully written and performed, and it's just terrific. There's certain things within the movie which I'm really trying to skirt round just now that can seem a little bit unusual, particularly the way the main character just keeps saying, "I grew up in San Francisco." But by the time you get to the end of the movie and everything is sort of laid out for you, it all kind of makes sense as to why certain things were happening and just how awesome and intricate this movie really is. It's a movie that creates a feeling within yourself of dread and intrigue watching it. And it's one that I'm really curious about going back to watch already, because I feel it's going to give me a better grab on the story, and it's just going to be all that more wonderful. It is full of terrific atmospheric sequences in this one. Scenes of actual horror that have the hairs in the back of your neck standing up. There is a moment where James, our main character, has found out where the cult is indoctrinating new members. He goes there and he is watching from a distance in the bushes as these people create or do some kind of ceremony, and then all of a sudden everybody just turns and looks at him, and he does what any normal person or people who are watching the movie want him to do: simply say, "Nope, and run the hell out of there. And it's a great chase sequence that evolves from that. But there's other moments as well where James is investigating things and goes under a bridge as there is a strange noise that's constantly repeating, and discovers some disturbing things under that bridge. There's moments as well with other characters where it becomes super violent out of nowhere. That is truly shocking. It's a movie that offers plenty of surprises and is one of those ones that I can strongly recommend. Now, I haven't went into too much of the plot because I think it's wonderful to discover it. I just think that synopsis of the bottle on the bridge is not doing the movie any justice for what it is. One of the best horrors I have seen in recent years, and strongly recommended. I'd love to know your thoughts on The Empty Man. Let me know in the comment box below, and I will see you next time on Man v Film.